My name is Carlos Guillermo Smith, and I am a Democrat who represents House District 49. That's the University of Central Florida and surrounding areas in East Orlando and East Orange County. You know, our district is a very young district. There are 5 colleges and universities. In addition to UCF, we have Polytechnic of Puerto Rico, Barry University, Full Sail University, and Valencia College. So college affordability is definitely a very important issue in my district. For 8 years, I managed a Men's Wearhouse clothing store before I got involved in politics. So I definitely understand the business point of view of so many of our public policy issues. And I got involved in politics in 2009 after we elected President Barack Obama. And I just wanted to get more involved so that I could play my part in helping elect more progressive candidates like President Obama, and got really involved. And now here I am in the Florida legislature. I always tell folks that I am a proud progressive, feminist, liberal, gay, Latino Democrat, and I think that that is a accurate description of who I am and what my values are. I serve on 2 higher education committees, the Higher Education Appropriations as well as the Post-Secondary Education Committee. So I've really had a chance to help shape policy for our state university system and our Florida college system. You know, and I also serve on the Local, Federal, and Veterans Affairs Committee in addition to government accountability. So we've been talking a lot about local control and a lot of issues that affect our cities and counties. In the higher education committees, I'm just proud to have been able to reach across the aisle so far this session to be able to expand accessibility to the Florida Bright Future Scholarship Program, and that is something that's very important to folks in my district, but to Floridians around the state who really need that scholarship to be able to help themselves afford to get a 4-year college degree. Just like with any other year, I think it's very important that we fully fund our traditional K-12 public schools, that we make investments in higher education so that Florida continues to be #1 in the nation for college education, but also I think it's really important that we make investments in healthcare, particularly in mental health care services. Unfortunately, Florida has fallen behind. We've always been between 49th and 50th in the nation for funding for mental health care services, and I think now is the time for us to reinvest so that folks can have access to the care that they need. The first bill that I filed as a lawmaker was a bill to restrict the sale of military-style assault weapons and large-capacity magazines. I am a strong supporter of the Second Amendment as a right that every citizen has to defend themselves or their family and their home with a firearm, but unprecedented access to these types of weapons of war unfortunately has had some tragic and disastrous results, like the tragedy at the Pulse nightclub on June 12, 2016 that took the lives of 49 innocent civilians. Assault weapons really have become the gold standard for mass murder, and I think we have a responsibility to restrict their sale to keep our community safe from gun violence. Florida has lagged behind for many years on funding for mental health care services, to the extent that we are between 49th and 50th in the nation for funding for mental health care. After the tragedy at Pulse, the need for mental health care, for therapy, for treatment of those who are suffering from PTSD is more important than it ever has been before. That's one of the reasons why I've partnered with Representative Mike Miller, a Republican. I reached across the aisle to sponsor some important budget appropriations to fund the UCF Restores Clinic, which is a clinic that specializes in the treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder. And we know that they're going to be doing good work not only to help our veterans who are suffering from PTSD, but also in helping those first responders from the tragedy at the Pulse nightclub and many of the survivors as well who really need this type of treatment. I think that it is past time that we get rid of some of these draconian policies that criminalize the ownership of marijuana and cannabis. What we know is that tens of thousands of people die every year from alcohol poisoning, from opioid overdoses, but not a single person has ever died from an overdose on marijuana. What we know is that 39,000 people last year were arrested for minor marijuana possession. I think that is a waste of resources, and it sets people back for really minor indiscretions. And I think that it's time that we decriminalize the use of marijuana possession, or decriminalize the use of marijuana, so that we can reinvest in other things that are more important, like healthcare and education. Well, I'm proud to have sponsored the Florida Trust Act with Senator Victor Torres, which basically says that local communities, undocumented and immigrant communities, can establish trust with local law enforcement, that when they see a criminal activity or they are a victim of crime, that they don't have to worry about reporting that to law enforcement. Many undocumented communities in particular are worried about interacting with government agencies and with law enforcement for fear of deportation. So what the Florida Trust Act says is that we can continue to let Florida be a place where immigrants and undocumented families feel welcome, and that they will be treated with dignity and with respect. There's a problem in Florida, which is that many of our greyhound racing dogs are being treated inhumanely and being injected with anabolic steroids. Anabolic steroids have been proven to have a very harmful impact on these dogs. They have caused heart disease, liver failure, kidney failure, as well as virilization. And I think that it's important that we as a state send a message, which is that we are going to treat these greyhound racing dogs humanely, and we are not going to allow for them to be injected with these types of harmful drugs that also have the effect of doping the dogs in advance of races. And I'm proud to have a broad coalition of bipartisan support around this bill as well. When I first ran for office, I thought I knew what the priorities were in the community. A lot of that changed on June 12, 2016 because of the tragedy at the Pulse nightclub. The needs of the community changed at that time. Needs around access to mental health care services, the need for us to pass common sense gun safety laws, and the need for every Floridian, regardless of who they are, their religion, their gender, their sexual orientation, or their gender identity, should be treated fairly and equally under the law. What happened at the Pulse nightclub will stay with me forever, and that's the reason why I always wear this pin, because it reminds me of what's important, which is life, love, and equality for every Floridian.